I think for me, it's like the eureka moment was zero discounting. If I was starting a brand tomorrow, I would definitely go with that. Right now, we are only selling sofas. We're known for the viral teddy sofa, which we're selling currently in, I think, 30 markets we're at now. We are in this game to build multi-category, multi-product brand, which is in the furniture category, but it's a lifestyle brand. We will become much more than the teddy sofa. For us, this is just the starting point. In my opinion, influencer marketing is our most important channel because the other channels don't do that. You just buy media and eyeballs. And you can do that in a very efficient way, but they're not going to help you get content. I don't want to spend time or effort on nailing attribution. I think it's bullshit for us because we had such a long customer journey.
Hey Alex, welcome to this talk. Pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
I think for the Danish audience, you don't need much of an introduction. You've been in your own e-com brand, started your own agency, then sold that, and now as a CMO in OMHU. Maybe for the people who don't know you, that will be hopefully some international listeners. You can introduce yourself.
Sure. My name is Alex, and I'm the CMO here at OMHU. I have a background in digital marketing and e-com. I've been doing that for almost 13 years now, so that's quite a long time. The first job I ever had was like selling gold on World of Warcraft when I was 12 years old. And it wasn't like a big business, but that kind of got me started on the whole digital marketing and trying to make money online journey. Started Solo Socks, which was a sock company where we were selling on Shopify, and did that while I was studying, failed with that. And then I started an agency, which was called Nordic Social, which was one of the first TikTok and social agencies in Scandinavia. I ran that for almost 5 years with some friends. And then we sold it off to a bigger agency where we worked for some time. And now I've been here in OMHU for almost 2 years, starting out as, I think, employee number 6. So it was pretty early on.
Yeah. So you've experienced from both the starting your own brand, the e-com sites. We've seen a lot of different brands there, and now you're in the operator role in one of Denmark's fastest growing lifestyle brands. So really nice to have you on.
Thank you so much.
If you were to put a few words on what is OMHU building, give a brief introduction to who OMHU is, markets, revenue, and so forth.
So OMHU is a D2C e-com company operating in the furniture space. Right now, we are only selling sofas. We're known for the viral teddy sofa product, which we're selling currently in, I think, 30 markets we're at now. So most of Europe and the United States as well. And we're looking into more regions at the end of this year and next year. So what do? We sell sofas online. That's the short answer. But if I were to put a bit more context to it, I would say what we're really trying to do is kind of challenge the way you run a business in the furniture space, which has been very traditional for many years. There are many legacy players. And we saw an opportunity to go into this space and do things differently. And I'll talk a bit, of course, a lot more about this today, but the highlights is that we're only selling D2C, so no big showroom wholesale strategy, no B2B, no online retailers. We have a zero discount policy, which is a big part of our strategy, and we're very social first. And we have some cool products, if I can say so.
Yeah, and I think that discount dependency is also something in the brand part of this talk. I'd love to dive into as well.
Sure.
You guys already won a few prizes this year as well at the Danish E-commerce prizes.
Yeah,
So
that was fun.
Yeah, you won the gold prize, the e-commerce over 100 million, and best export case. So it's safe to say that you're one of the fastest growing interior brands. Maybe also just to move on from the OMHU to the brand side, explaining what a moat is. What do you think is OMHU's biggest moat today, the unfair advantage?
So I think for all e-commerce brands, the strongest moat that you can have is a distinct brand strategy and relentless focus on not just brand equity, but also building awareness. I think that is really our moat, combined with how we run operations in our business. And there are a lot of furniture and interior companies out there, and very few are doing it the way we are doing it operationally. Again, back to only doing D2C, owning your data, being social first, and so on. So
Yeah, because originally it's a physical product, right? People need to feel it and see it, and you guys have taken that only digital.
Yeah, we actually have a quite unique strategy for that. I think a moat is there are many things that constitute a moat, and I could talk a lot about it. But I think if there's one thing that we're really doing differently, which makes us stand out and is hard to copy, it's our brand strategy, and our marketing strategy as a whole. It's pretty unique.
And it's pretty throughout the office as well. Just behind me, the pattern of the sofa is also hang up on the wall. So that's nice. And I think for a lot of people also brand is very intangible. So it's like what does brand even mean? And you mentioned the zero discount policy also with being discount dependent, because a lot of brands struggle with growing. Then they have to discount more to keep up with enough cash flow and so forth. Like what does brand mean if you were to really boil it down to a children's language?
Yeah. So brand is, for me, is very simple. It's awareness and it's equity. So how many people know your brand, and how does the brand make your audience feel?
Yeah.
That's how we're looking at it. And we're tracking both things, and we're working with those two things all the time.
Yeah. And how do you guys track brand right now?
So there are many ways to do it, and the most traditional way is to look at branded search queries on search engines and so on, like share of search, all of those classic things. We're also now starting to do more like surveys, asking out in the market, try to understand what is awareness in the market against competitors or different markets. So we're also doing surveying and polls. And then I think the beautiful thing about being a DTC is you can ask your customer.
Yeah.
So we have like post-purchase surveys. We do surveys on our email list, on our social, try to get a lot of feedback from our customers.
Yeah. I saw a post from a guy called Preston Rutherford. Maybe you know him as well. He defined brand with the amount of people who know you, the amount of people who have positive associations, the amount of people who choose you when they go in market, and the amount of people who would buy without discounts as well. And that's the brand strength. And so that really puts it up in perspective what you guys are also doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people also, like when you look at a funnel, like traditionally, like it's top, mid, bottom, or if you look at it in awareness stages, you struggle to kind of feel like, okay, I have to do really branded campaigns, or I have to do really performance-minded campaigns. And it's two really different worlds for the brands.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys make sure that the creative output in OMHU is a mixture of both, so that lower in the funnel, it's not off-brand, and really balance that feeling of the premium feel and still getting the performance without it being too polished or too cheap?
I think I could argue that it's less than 1% of e-coms that have nailed that. I think it's very, very difficult to get to like the final destination. But for us, the way we work with it is that we try to keep it consistent across the whole of the funnel, but we also understand that algorithms need creative diversity in order to target like different people that could think that our brand is relevant. So usually the lower down in the funnel you go, on like the paid media platforms, we have more diversity. We actually also have it at the top. But whenever we actually really get into the funnel, so with emails and site and social and so on, we try to keep it really consistent.
Yeah.
There are some places in the top of the funnel where we'll even go to some lens and like do something that's far away from our brand to really try to capture new audiences. Yeah. And I think with a paid social or social first strategy, you need to do that. Like you cannot always be too strict around that.
Yeah.
Like your visual identity and your brand, and it's not at the top of the funnel.
And if you were to like position who is OMHU, because that's obviously based off the pricing and the creative that you put out and so forth, is it leaning towards the more traditional furniture brands like Bolia? Is it like the D2C brands, or is it like the more premium designer furniture? Like what are you catering towards? Or do you think you own your own category?
So on comparison wise on the brand level, I think the way I look at it is just like there's mid and there's high end, and then there's premium and there's luxury.
Yeah.
And we're like a mid to high end brand, but we are borrowing a lot of tools and taking inspiration from brands that are premium and luxury in some ways.
Yeah.
But we don't want to be a premium or luxury brand at all. So I think you can find your own way. Like it's not just a A to B spectrum. It's multidimensional, and it's you need to place yourself across all of these different what do you call that, elements where you have to find your own place in it. But if you just want a simple answer, I would say we're like a mid to high end brand.
Yeah. in my experience, it's really difficult to have like the mid-tier priced items, because you can quickly become like the expensive in the cheap category.
Yeah.
Whereas what I'm hearing you say is also that you're kind of becoming the accessible in the premium category.
Yeah.
Within the sofa. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you could definitely say some of our branding is premium, but it's not luxury.
Yeah.
And also we are a bit more playful and bold than many of the premium and luxury brands. So I think we're also showing that you can do that. You can be premium, but also still be ironic and be funny.
Yeah.
And
be
stuff
accessible
out there.
Yeah. And how do you, I mean, every time people go out, it's a longer customer journey, obviously, than buying a piece of clothes. How do you justify your prices without over-explaining the product?
I think our prices are actually quite democratic. We don't have high prices compared to our competitors in the market. Sure, you can always go to like mass market brands like something like IKEA or Ilva or something like that to find your cheaper sofa. But we are pretty democratic. We have pretty democratic price point that's accessible for most consumers. And that's also where we want to be. I think it's a good place to be if you want to build like $1 billion company. You need to have that broad reach and be accessible to many consumers.
Yeah.
At least if you want to do it fast.
Yeah, I agree totally. And I think just to say on the brand topic, because I'm also very excited to go into the creative and the team and the whole structure there. A lot of the like distinctiveness of OMHU is also built around the teddy sofa. And inevitably, I could imagine that there will be copycats. Like what, just to start off, what do you see are the perks of having just one hero product, and what are the pros of having one hero product?
So the pros are definitely that you have low complexity.
Yeah.
It's very, very nice to work with few products and SKUs and categories, because it allows you to focus on that one hero product or those few hero products. And it's also that when this product is generating the majority of your sales, you have a lot of data to work with around that single product, and you can really go down deep into it and become very good at marketing that product specifically. So obviously the downside is it makes retention hard, customer lifetime value. How do you build that when you don't have many things to upsell? Those are probably the two main things I would say. And then of course, when you make one product which becomes very popular and iconic, you have a lot of copycats and people trying to do either the exact same thing or something very similar to it.
Yeah. And just before we move on to that, because I think that's also a topic that a lot of brands struggle with like their distinctive assets being copied across multiple platforms. And this is something I thought about while driving to your office. Like, what's the next strategy for OMHU? You've expanded to a lot of new markets. Is it the geo? Is it new product categories? What is the next phase for
So without getting like too specific on what's coming, I can say that we are in this game to build a multi-category, multi-product brand, which is in the furniture category, but it's a lifestyle brand. So that means like things will come, and we will become much more than the teddy sofa. For us, this is just the starting point, and we're still so early. It's been like 3 years into the journey now, so there will be many more things to come. But of course, the teddy sofa also really sets the tone for who we are as a brand, and it is the product that we're starting with, so it also needs to be relevant to that, or at least it makes it easier to launch if people can relate to that, if they have a teddy sofa and want to buy something that's in the same category.
What are your most, in your opinion, most important brand assets, distinctive assets?
I think for us, it's definitely like our organic social. Like that's where we build the community, and that's where people follow along. And I think we could still get a lot better at that. But that is where like the brands of the future are being built.
And where do you, because you're really good on social and you're social first, and we're going to get into that in just a moment. Like if I see a creative from one furniture brand and I have to distinct that towards OMHU and see the difference for my UGC creative, let's just say a competitor gifted the actually accept same creator that you guys just gifted. What makes the difference that people know like this is OMHU?
I mean, beside the product, I would say, for us, it's very much also which kind of creators we're working with.
Yeah.
And we're doing it at such a scale now that it's hard to control it always. But we do make a big effort in briefing them and making sure that we work with them in a way that really works for us as well, that we get the right content, that they are the right people with the right audience, the right style, and so on. I think that is also a really big challenge in general for e-coms that work a lot with influencer marketing.
So staying consistent on the visual identity and
but at the same time experimenting and trying to do different things.
Yeah, makes sense.
It's a hard balance.
Yeah, and we see this across a lot of brands as well. And back to the copycats, because when your product is this visible and you're attacking it from so many angles in your ads, like how do you handle the copycats that are coming? I saw on your website you had some. How do we make the products? Or the research and development that goes into the product? Like, how do you handle and overcome objections from people seeing it?
I mean, this is, I think there's many different opinions on this. What I personally believe is that there is a huge part of the market that we can't convince to shop with us. If they're going to buy a fake, they're going to do that. So that's not our battle to win. What we can do is we can fight for that group of consumers in between that are maybe on the fence. They want to buy the real deal, but maybe they're considering buying something that's fake. And those are the ones we're fighting for. And how do we win those? We win those by having a better product. It's the most important thing. Having a cooler brand, having a better customer service experience, having a better overall customer experience for the customers, like everything from first touch point to the customer journey to the shipping, to the aftercare, everything that goes into that. And then I don't think that overall you should worry so much. Like if someone is infringing on your IP, of course you should take action. We don't want people to do illegal things and just run free and doing that's harmful, not just for us as brand, but also for society. But if there are smaller players that are maybe pushing the limits, like we're not going to give them our attention.
Yeah. So giving attention to what is really damaging the brand, and then maybe not using that much energy on it as per some people.
And the things that are like outright illegal, I think that we also have a responsibility to fight against that.
Yeah, and it's also it can be a rabbit hole to go into all the legal stuff with people copying, because there will always be something, especially when you're growing this fast. So in terms of building the brand, this also obviously comes from distribution, and you started a brand, you were in the agency, you were director of social, you are a very front figure for social first. And you've mentioned a lot of time that you've built OMHU from a social first approach. And I think just to make it like really go into the nitty gritty stuff of what is for social first at OMHU at Morabbi's team.
Yeah, so for me, I would say being social first means that your most important marketing channels are social media, and in our part of the world, it's mostly Instagram and TikTok. And a bit more broader than that, I would say you can also divide social into 3 main categories, which is organic social, paid social, and influencer and creator marketing. And the way we approach it is that we see it as one kind of like ecosystem. It's different channels, but they all work together. And we're working with a flywheel where influencers, they drive reach, and they build loyalty and engagement, but they also create content for our channels. And that's why, in my opinion, influencer marketing is our most important channel, because the other channels don't do that. You just buy media and eyeballs. And you can do that in a very efficient way, but they're not going to help you get content. That's why you should work with creators and then humans to represent your brand, especially in this like AI slob world we're going into now, where there's so much bad content out there. You need to stand out.
And I think because what you're mentioning is also that the experience and obviously the output of content and so forth is the moat. But the operators actually doing that stuff, also with AI coming in, it's becoming more accessible to know and do some of the more low practical stuff. How does the team look like to make this a reality in OMHU? Like what if I were to put a word on it, what pots do you have in the marketing team since you've grown, and what has the...
So we started with building out the growth team, which for us is the team that works with paid media and e-com. That's the short version. And then we have a influencer team, which is exclusively focused on everything related to creators. And then we have a third pod or team, which is our creative team, which was actually, I think, a pretty bold and radical decision, thinking about how early it was to build our own in-house agency and own like our brand strategy and our content output and really move that in-house. And I think this is a very important part of being social first, is that you need to like take ownership of at least some part of that. It's great to work with agencies to help you make strategy or execute on content. But when you're moving at a very, very rapid pace, someone needs to own the brand strategy in the team.
Yeah.
Like a sort of creative director. We have a very, very talented one in our team, Christine. She's doing a great job. And they are hard to find and come by. And it's also where a lot of brands miss. Like they hire the wrong one and can't nail it. So that's basically it for us. It's growth, influencer, and creative.
And where if you were to like put it in bullets, like what the actual teams look like, so you have the influencers that is just doing a volume of creators that you can use in the flywheel, if I heard you correct. And then you have the kind of creative director, and if you can put that into bullets like this, and this is their responsibility. So it's becoming really
influencer, if you go a bit more deep into it, of course there's signing influencers, but there's also broader influencer strategy, working with mega influencers. What's our YouTube influencer strategy? How we're doing with TikTok, Instagram, how we're building out the processes, how are we making it more scalable? What does it look like when we have 20 people in an influencer team, which is something we'll probably have at some point if things go as we want them to. And then in creative, it's very much, we have social under that as well, organic social. So it's managing our community, creating content, making sure we have the right assets for email, for our website, doing PRable moments, marketing stunts, brand campaigns. I think that's also a huge part of what we do well, is that we are actually coming out with relevant brand campaigns and doing things differently other than just doing social. And you can be social first and still have like a branding strategy. We're also doing PRable moments and outdoor activations and so on. And then you distribute it through social.
Yeah. And I want to stick with the influencer stuff, but I'm also curious because I think a lot of brands sitting in an office is also having a hard time with the organic sources. So videographers, you can hire an agency, they can create some good campaigns with AI or physically.
Yeah.
And then you have influencers that can create content in different environments. Like the organic social team, how are they enabled in here? Do they use AI themselves? Do they have showrooms that they go out and shoot with? Do they have agencies that they collaborate with? What's the like process and responsibilities for those?
It varies a lot, but we do a lot of like shoots.
Yeah.
In like classic furniture shoots. Yeah. And sometimes we work with agencies and producers, and sometimes we do it ourselves. But I think we generally divide our content into everything that's creator generated or UGC, and then everything that's owned, like brand content, we call it. Yeah. And I think, as you can see on our socials now, we're moving more towards the branded content. And the social, the UGC and influencer content is more something we're using on paid and something that lives on itself, but not a big part of, because we also don't want to be another, like, we are an influencer brand, like we are. And we're also tapping into that, and that's funny, but we can't just be that. Like, we need to be more than that.
And in terms of the influencers, do you have any criteria in terms of working with them? Like, for example, could you have 3 criteria in terms of demographic, followers, whatever, that they have to meet 2 out of 3 to qualify for a collab? Or how do you source the creators?
So we actually divide them into 3 buckets. We have like performance or reach. So the ones where we think we can really reach a lot of people. And we have content drivers, which are the ones that can really create content that we believe is great or alternative or like just something new that can work well for us. And then we have like the brand drivers, which are more, we're tapping into their brand and personality, their community, and aligning us with that. And it's changing how we split it. Usually the hardest influencers to find and work with are the brand driving influencers. Because there are 5 million influencers out there, but there are very few that are very cool.
Yeah. And you have a large volume. How much are you sourcing each month right now, if you're open to share?
I can't share how many we're shipping to influencers a month, but it's quite a lot.
Yeah.
How
big is the team?
Now we're 5 people in influencer marketing.
Yeah, that really does.
Yeah.
And what's the split between like paid deals, barter deals, and gifted profiles, affiliates potentially?
So I can speak like a bit more broadly on it and say, usually when you have like a high AOV business, a high ticket item, it's easier to do barter deals and gifting, which is a huge benefit for us because obviously influencer marketing is getting more and more expensive. CPMs are rising. But when you also have a product that people love, it really helps with that as well. So we genuinely want to work with creators that want to work with us. So we work a lot on an inbound model. We're also doing outbound where we see good matches. But because we do that, people are reaching out to us. Sometimes we can get a good deal that doesn't cost that much.
Yeah. It's also very high perceived value, so that makes sense.
Exactly.
You also said, and this was from a LinkedIn post, that if the influence marketing does not work for you, then it's because the product doesn't have a fit.
Yeah.
If I were to, both within the interior or fashion or whatever AOV category that you could be in, if I were to think I need to scale up this content lever because I've nailed all the other stuff, what would your advice be in terms of scaling that up and actually making it a moat in your business?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think a lot of brands are struggling with it. I do really mean that if influencers are not contacting you, you are doing something wrong and maybe also not ready to do it.
Yeah.
So obviously, the more you spend, the bigger your brand becomes, the more inbound requests you will get. I think my best recommendation is to figure out how you can get the snowball rolling by activating influencers that other influencers follow. So that's something that we're focusing a lot on, like how can we get those really cool influencers that other influencers look up to? And how can we help those influencers succeed? Because at the end of the day, they're also interested in growing their reach and their follower base. And if we can help them going viral or making cool content, and other influencers see that, maybe they're more likely to work with us.
Yeah.
And then I think it's very much like a question of process when it comes to running an influencer department. It is doing the same thing over and over at scale with some variance, of course, but it's very important that you nail your processes. What tools are you using? You have a CRM for it. How do you automate it? What kind of briefs are you sending? How do you handle contracts, payments, all of that?
Do you guys send briefs, or is it just, hey, we love your style, create content?
Yeah, we are very, I think we have a very, very thought out influencer process. We have our team lead Sophie who's running it, and she's built it out, and it's really, really good. And it can always get better, but it's like from everything is a process now.
Okay. Yeah. So it's outlined like an automation almost.
Yeah. It is kind of like comparable building a sales team or a customer care team or something like that. There's a lot of variance. You do a lot of cool different tasks and projects, but we also have the same KPIs that we're running towards. And if you want to scale that to 10, 20, 100 people, you need a bulletproof process.
And how much of, because obviously some of them are tagged, some of them are branded, you maybe repurpose on your own organic feed. What are your experience with partnership ads in the ad account, and how big of a portion of your ad account right now roughly would be based off creator content versus more polished campaign content?
It's a large part of it, and it's getting bigger, and I think it's also something Meta is pushing, and we're also seeing that it works well. I think for many brands, it would suit them to do like 30 to 50% and maybe even more. But it also depends on how your funnel is structured and how much you put into awareness and so on. But we see that it works really well, and we do it a lot.
Yeah. And in a world where AI can really scale the output of creative, how do you manage the balance between having polished content versus having raw content that is actually visibly made by?
I mean, I don't personally think we do a lot of AI. We do AI campaigns, and we're experimenting with it, and I think it can do some cool things. But we are not. I think of all the things we're coming out with on social, and in general, it's like less than 5% of our content.
Okay.
But we are trying to do maybe 3 to 4 times a year something big with AI.
Yeah.
And I think right now it's still at a place where if you do it well, it can be nice and cool.
Yeah.
But there's so much bad AI out there. And we really like to keep it raw and analog when it comes to like traditional shoots, like shooting in cool locations and home, because there's some things that are really hard to capture. And we don't have to do it. Like, we don't have to do everything AI. Sure, we could save some money, but that's not what's going to take us to the next level. Like, people want to see real life things, and you can get punished really quickly for doing AI if you don't, like, if you're very explicit about this is AI and you know it, right?
Yeah.
and it makes sense because it's funny that it's AI.
Yeah. So you're not trying to hide it. You're actually just owning that this is the part of like the brand world that you're trying to build.
If you're selling like something for 65 plus audience on Meta, sure, you don't need to, you can hide it. But when you have like a Gen Z audience like we do, it's very dangerous.
Yeah. And I think also because your creative output, I imagine, must be huge. Like with a team of 5, you have agencies and so forth. How do you? Because I want to dive a bit more into the creative testing system. Because a lot of brands are like, how many creatives should I output to have the right amount compared to spend and stuff like that? How are you, first of all, balancing speed, volume, and production value throughout the creative process? And then I'm afterwards very curious to hear like how you're actually testing it in the ad account.
So currently we've moved a bit away from like doing classic hardcore testing in the ad account. I think we're getting really good at knowing if something performs well before we launch it. So we have a huge creative output in general, but we're very good at selecting what we think works, and then we go with that. And then we just generally trust the algorithms and use our brains to analyze the data and make decisions on what to turn off. I think when you're spending at our scale and you have such a broad target market, it's but also very different kinds of people. We have like families, and we have grandparents, and we have young students that just moved out. It's not like when you're just selling vitamins for gut health. Then you can just test because it's the same audience.
Yeah, it's a problem solution.
Yeah, exactly. And for us, it's more about how can we diversify enough so that we're reaching all like the little nooks everywhere in the audiences. And something that will work really well for this audience won't work for that. So we've kind of walked a little bit away from it.
I think that's actually a very curious, interesting point, like the different ICPs that you operate within, because it is an interior product. It's something that fits within the home. And a lot of brands, at least from my experience, also work with like, what occasions should I own, like the category entry points in terms of total addressable market size. Like, how do you prioritize which age groups or ICPs, to put it right, to prioritize in your marketing strategy? And do you build your marketing strategy around that with different personas and so forth?
We do. So we have like a audience strategy, and we also have it's a big part of our marketing strategy, who our ICPs are and so on. But I think in general, we are communicating mostly to one core ICP, our site and our social, but our ads and everything we're doing with influencers is reaching far beyond that.
Yeah.
So, and you can't have, I think this is a huge mistake, especially in B2B, but also I see a lot in D2C that brands are really trying to be something for everyone. And that's just a classic quote: if you're something for everyone, they'll think when it was so on. But I think we are still trying to find that balance. We want to be raw and edgy and have our own identity, but we also don't want to scare anyone away. We're not doing that now, but you want to push it without pushing people away. I think that's, if you can do that, you're doing a really, really good job brand wise. Was that answer enough?
Yeah, definitely. And we've talked a lot about the creative strategy and the influencer output. I'm also curious to, from a media mix perspective, so Meta, TikTok, what is the budget split there, and also in terms of like which lines show up in the P&L? So you'd say ad spend, influencers, campaigns. Like how is the split between the media, and how is the split within the P&L when optimizing for
so for us,
budgets?
Because we're social first, by far the majority goes to Meta and TikTok, and I still really believe Meta is still king, and it's very, very hard to find anything. There'll be a long time before we find a channel like it. So like, just to give like a range, I would say it's around 80% of our budget going into paid social as a pro. We also have Pinterest and AppLovin and other things, but that goes into that. And of course, Meta is the biggest one, as it is for most. And then we have influencer, which is of course a line, and that comes down to both what are we investing in the team and the salaries, but also how many products are we shipping, what are we gifting, what are we paying for. We also have it down to like, what are we paying to ship the actual sofas to influencers.
Okay.
So we have a pretty good understanding of what that number is. And then search is quite small for us. We actually just started doing SEO now. We talked to someone yesterday who's like got a huge business, and they still haven't started. So we're not even like that focused on it. I think you can build a $500 million business without really prioritizing it.
Yeah.
Also, when you're social first, SEO will come,
Yeah.
but you need to have your technical foundation in place. And then the last one is paid search, which is a very small part of a budget.
So you've intentionally deprioritized, for example, search, or are there other channels that we don't know of that you intentionally deprioritized in the marketing strategy?
Not intentionally. I think you can always get better, and an SMS, like that's is an endless road, right? But no, I think that's the only ones that we really do. And affiliate, we don't do affiliate.
Yeah. And if you have to, last point on the content, but it's so important. If you have to rebuild OMHU's content engine from scratch, what would you do first?
Yeah, I think we got it right the first time.
So exactly the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
Start with influencers, and
because that's the easiest.
Yeah, and then I think influencers can take you a long way, but at some point you need some smart creative people that can do art direction.
Yeah.
And understand creative strategy.
Yeah. And you talked a bit about also measuring the cost of sending products to influencers, for example. What is there layers that you control the business within? So you have obviously the P&L, you have the demand gen, incremental reach, brand searches, followers, and so forth, and maybe NCOs as the last demand capture or whatever. Is there any most important signals, and how do you, from a high level perspective as the CMO in OMHU, manage the marketing strategy in those layers?
So the question is, which metrics do I look at the most?
Yeah.
We have a very, very big scorecard with lots of data. If I have to I could give you a long answer, but I'll try to keep what's most important for me. I'm really focused on, of course, MER, marketing efficiency ratio. I'm very focused on add to cart rate on all our channels, like specifically from the traffic Meta TikTok is driving, what percentage of that goes to the cart. Time spent on site is very important. We're also looking at some niche metrics for us, such as how many color swatches do we sell? Because that's a mid-funnel event. People buy a color swatch before they buy a sofa.
Is that the usual funnel for people to go in and buy the swatch for free?
It's not relevant for all. Like a lot of people just buy a sofa without having. They don't need to see the fabric of the cover.
What is the split there ish?
I know it, but I don't know if I'll share it. It's also fluctuating depending on if we do campaigns or not.
Yeah.
But let's say maybe a third of people would like to have that before they buy it. And then a very important one for me is branded search, something that we're following a lot. Those are the main ones. And then incremental reach in general.
And also in terms of the MER, because a lot of the companies, you've gone international pretty quickly, allowing you to scale to the level you have. And a lot of the companies we talk with also have different MER targets across different unit economics, from shipping being more expensive in some countries than other.
Yeah.
I read before going into this that you have production in Poland and US. How does those targets fluctuate across market, if they do?
So this is a very good question, and I think it's something that you can spend a lot of time on nailing. We do have like gross profit 1, gross profit 2, gross profit 3 down, like full P&L in all markets, because we know this. But actually, we're not too concerned about it, because we look at MER as a whole, and then we know there are some markets where maybe we should have a bit of a higher MER, but it doesn't really matter that much. I think you can spend a lot of time analyzing this data and like, oh, we need to spend 10% less in Poland because the shipping is, and in our, like, for us, it's different. We don't have 10,000 products and like so many categories with different gross profit and profit margins. So when you have low complexity, you can kind of get up in the control tower and see, okay, as long as the overall MER is good, like, let's ramp it up.
And how also in the ad account, because I think a lot of brands navigating the ad account is also in doubt whether they should make an advantage, just as an overall campaign, or split it up into the different markets with different. You have an overall target, it seems, but how does that account look? If you,
I mean, for us, it's granular. So we like control, and I think there's not a one size fits all. It's very different for every company, and it's a very complex decision. There's so many things that goes into whether you should have market-based setup or consolidated. I think if you're a brand and you're thinking about making the switch, you need to talk to someone who's really smart and done it a lot of times. I'm too busy. You can't talk to me. Well, I'm sure you can find someone, maybe this gentleman in front of me, but talk to someone who really understands consolidation versus granular setup. It is a big decision.
Yeah, and also dependent on spend levels.
Yeah, for sure.
And what we talked about just before starting the record button over there is the customer journey. It's a long customer journey. People have to see the product several times.
Yeah.
Also a huge pain point for a lot of e-com operators, their attribution. What do you guys look at with attribution? Is it just blended ROAS? Do you have any tools? What do you guys do there?
Great question. I was actually in Barcelona last week at Shop Talk, where I talked to one of the guys who ran attribution and conversion lift studies at Meta. Some might know who it is. He has an e-com brand now. And he said on stage that he's been doing this for years for some of the biggest advertisers in the world, D2C, like they have their data, and it still doesn't beat a post-purchase survey.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion. Like, I don't want to spend time or effort on nailing attribution. I think it's bullshit for us because we had such a long customer journey.
I think we also have so large a portion of the budgets to Meta and TikTok. So
yeah, and influencers. Yeah. Influencers are untrackable. Like, it's a black box. There's no way you can figure out how much sales an influencer generated if you don't do discounts, no links, and no coupons. Like, it is impossible. So I don't want to waste time on that for us. Many people will have tried to convince me to change my mind, but like I've talked to some of the smartest measuring people in the world, but like you say 6 months customer journey, influence is the biggest channel, no discounts, and they're like, okay.
But totally agree with the post-purchase. We also use a tool that filters post-purchase into the attribution. So I completely agree. And you can also find some golden nuggets in there in terms of creative angles and pain points. And actually just touching on the post-purchase survey, like what do you think is the most important post-purchase surveys that e-commerce could ask their customers?
For me, it's where did you first hear about us?
Yeah.
And then a second one, I would say, what almost stopped you from converting, or what can we do differently, like feedback based?
Yeah, so first question is, where did you first hear about us? So what's incremental? And then
because those two are like they are evergreen. You should always collect that data, like audience specific. How old are you? Like you can switch that out over time.
And how do you guys think? Because obviously you're the CMO, not in touch with the customer service as heavy, I could imagine, but you also mentioned that the whole process from getting the customers to buy again, with the customer service, how big of a part of the brand do you think
I'm extremely proud of our customer care team. I think we have an amazing team with amazing people, and I'm really proud that we have prioritized human interaction and that we have the time for fast first response time. We'll pick up the phone, we'll talk to our customers. I think when for some businesses, AI first can work, but if you're like low AOV parcels and so on, but in our category, we can't do that.
Yeah.
Like, we need to talk to people. If you buy a sofa for 3,000 USD, you need to talk to a person about it.
And do you use AI and humans, or do you only use humans in the customer service?
I mean, we use automations, but we don't AI like interactions.
Okay. Yeah, so it's primarily humans. I was on the website yesterday before coming here, and I noticed that it was humans. So yeah, nice. Last thing on the attribution stuff, how do you actually measure something incrementally? You mentioned the post-purchase survey. Where did you first discover us? I think also a lot of people overcomplicate it, and this is more of it's that, or we also do some other stuff that I don't know of right now to measure if anything is incremental.
I think incrementality is hard. Like, what we do is we just rely on the post-purchase survey data, and then if we see there's discrepancy between our spend and how much is attributed, we adjust.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, and I would not.
Yeah, so really keeping it simple is sufficient. Yeah, I agree. Next question I've been curious about also, and I'm curious to the journey you're going to get on in terms of the next question I have noted down.
Yeah.
Why stay 100% direct to consumer at the current moment?
That's not necessarily what we're going to do. I think it's good to be 100% direct to consumer up until a certain point, but when you mature as a business, adding revenue channels makes sense. Yeah. So I can't say whether we'll go into contract sales or B2B wholesale as a whole. But it could make sense for a business like us to build on top. I think the beautiful thing about being D2C first is that you create demand in all markets and all channels, right?
Yeah.
So of course, we have demand. People want to buy our products and they want to sell our products. And maybe we'll do that at some point.
But I 100% agree that it's the correct flywheel. You're going to create the demand with the econ, own their own distribution, their visual style and identity, create it, prove the demand, then show them your numbers and they will give you some better deals as well. So I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And you can also get sharper on the whole visual identity when doing so for the retailers when they also should activate. So yeah, 100%.
I think there's so many benefits. Like you also have more time to perfect your product and perfect your brand and your customer service and your team. And like you're just better equipped to start off doing, let's say, selling on Amazon or, going to, the Walmarts of the world. And if you want to do that, like if you have a mature organization.
Yeah. Agree. So you could imagine OMHU going at some point, maybe when there's more products or the brand is even more mature than it is now, to accept some retailers in the
future. It's not unimagined.
Okay. Nice. And I also noticed that on the website you have the showrooms obviously, but you also have the Friends of OMHU.
Yeah.
That is like kind of it's not retail obviously, but it's a physical place that people can actually see the product, and you have quite a few of them.
Yeah.
I noticed. How does that plug into the whole marketing strategy?
So it is an important part of a marketing strategy because, as you rightly said in the beginning, we have a big physical product with a high price compared to many other things, and people want to try it and test it. So we decided to do this Friends of OMHU model where we work with local stores, cafes that are cool, that we think we can align with brand-wise, and people can come there and try our products. And I think this is probably also a moat for us in a way, because it's hard to copy, especially if you have many products. And a lot of big legacy players in our business are putting a lot of money into showrooms. It's like the biggest cost base. They have huge line item on the P&L.
Yeah.
And it is very, very hard to scale. And this is a lot easier to scale.
Yeah.
Because we don't have all the setup time and like the contract negotiations in the same way. Of course, we have contracts with some, but like physical retailers is something different.
Yeah, it's a different team, also different KPIs and so forth.
So we're happy with it, and it is also quite a global thing. So we can find a cool cafe in Seoul in South Korea, and they want a sofa, we'll get them the sofa and set it up.
Yeah, so it's part of the influencer strategy almost.
Yeah, it's run in a similar way.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also just touching on the team, I mean, obviously you've grew a lot. How do you think about scaling the D2C brand? Like, because I've also seen some brands stay lean and they can do multiple figures with that. Do you think it's the better decision to stay lean or higher hit when scaling an e-commerce as aggressively as you're doing?
So it depends on one thing, which is what you want to achieve. So if you have like really big ambitions and you want to build a huge company brand, you need to scale your team. Like there's no way around it. If you want to land at, let's say, $50 million USD or $100 million USD, I think you can run a company like that really lean today and make it super profitable. But OMHU is not like, of course, we're a business, we're in it to make money, but we're also very passionate about building a brand and building a global company.
Yeah.
So we are willing to take more risk, hire more people, because this team, not just senior management, but everyone, we're like super ambitious, and that requires a lot of smart people working together and like always scaling it up.
Yeah, it's really a question of the ambitious level of the company. How do you want to be the
risk appetite is a huge thing. Like I think we could, to some extent, probably be 10 people running this company.
Yeah.
But then it would affect how our customers experience it, how well our products are coming out. Like there's so much that quality that will be reduced.
And how does that distribution look within the team? So you have obviously the growth team that you're running as the CMO. You have the fulfillment team, and you have the customer. Like how does that split look? And in your opinion, with the size you are today, if you were to put it in percentages, like marketing team is 50% or?
Yeah, I think we're probably too many people in marketing compared to the rest. But I can tell you, maybe not where we are today, but where we would want to be.
Yeah.
And I think it's very, very different for every kind of business. But I think in a D2C company, you should probably have at least a third of people working in like everything related to sales and marketing.
Yeah, agree.
I think that's a good, solid, healthy line. And then depending on how ambitious you are with your product roadmap and releases, then you can have more in the operations. So we basically divide it into sales and marketing, operations, and admin.
Yeah.
That's it for us. And admin is like finance, legal rules.
Do you have targets for how much revenue there should be per employee?
No, we don't look at it like that. I mean, you could say yes, there are, but it's more, we look at it like a P&L breakdown. So classic e-com, you have revenue, you have COGS, you have shipping, which is big for us, of course. You have marketing, you have showrooms. For us, you have OPEX, salaries, and then you have some payment and transaction fees, and then you have a bottom line.
Yeah.
And we have targets for each of those.
Yeah, that makes sense. AI, the elephant in the room across a lot of organizations, a lot of stakeholders are pushing it, making sure that the people use it, no matter if it's getting them more efficient or not.
Yeah.
How are you guys using it operationally, not in marketing, but across the team right now?
I think it's an interesting time to get this question because I think everyone was a lot more hyped 5 months ago when everything with OpenClaw came out and people started building their own agents. I think it's incredible. Like we're using it a lot. I think the main thing is definitely using agents to do tasks for us and trying to build our own operating systems for like solving manual or cumbersome tasks.
Yeah.
I think what's most important for me, because I'm a growth marketer, is like how can we use it to drive incremental revenue?
Yeah.
I think that's a very hard problem to solve. There's like programmatic SEO. Then there's maybe something on the influencer side of things you can automate more with AI scraping, outreach, and so on. And then link building, maybe there's something in that you can be smart about. But I'm having a hard time really finding those cases where AI can drive a lot of incremental revenue at scale.
You just mentioned OpenClaw, which I believe is one of the most one of the best things that has happened within AI, because just opening Claude is a long time ago that was the standard, I think. Is there any use case where you can highlight and say like AI changed the way we or I work?
Yeah, I would say so. There are many. I think every kind of like analytical or research task is being done by agents now. Yeah. And we are building out like our own semantic layer with all our data in Cube so we can just talk to our data. I think that's a huge difference. Instead of having to go to Meta or Shopify, you can just ask your agent, hey, I was just looking today. Yeah. Hey, or put all these things together. I think as a C-level employee, there will always be like reporting slides. I think it's a huge difference coming from an agency where I had to do all of it myself before I like got really good at it. The stuff Claude can do now, like in terms of design and building graphs, and
it's insane with HTML.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So I think that's super exciting, and I think it's really changing a lot of how we work.
Yeah, I agree. What is we're moving on to hopefully one of my favorite parts of this interview, but before we do that, I want to kind of get your, and not only in OMHU, but also just in the overall journey you've been on. I mean, you've, as we said in the beginning, you've had your own brand, you've been in an agency that you founded yourself, sold that, and now in OMHU. What is the biggest lesson in e-commerce so far? And what is also the thing that you think most D2C brands misunderstand?
I think for me, it's like the eureka moment was zero discounting.
Yeah.
I think that if there was one thing, if I was starting a brand tomorrow, I would definitely go with that. It's hard to come back from, and I'm not saying it's the right thing for every brand. Like discounting has its role in some industries. It's almost impossible. But either zero discounts from the outset, if you're building a real lifestyle brand, I think it's like game changer. Yeah, that a lot of brands could have learned from. But this is also coming from someone who's worked with almost every single Danish or Scandinavian e-com and seen them fall in that trap and destroy their business.
Yeah, we need cash flow. We need to do discounts, and then it just turns into an even spiral. Do you have like benchmarks for? You don't do archive sales either because you have one product, so that makes sense.
But this is an example where it makes really good sense to get rid of inventory, and like there's of course ways it can make sense. But if you're really trying to build a lifestyle brand that's really cool and grows fast, fashion is something else. But there are exceptions, but I would really try to avoid it if I could,
Yeah.
or at least tone it down, make it as small as possible.
Yeah, I just made a scorecard with the discount dependency on how big is that in the business. So I 100% agree on that as well.
Yeah.
How do you win when everything gets more expensive? The CPMs rise year to year on every platform, basically. It gets easier to go into e-com. How do you win?
I think the main thing is brand. Being able to build, like I said in the beginning, distinct brand and focus on keep on building awareness. And for me, a big part of that is like building a community and keeping them engaged. Because the one channel that doesn't get more expensive is word of mouth.
Yeah. So building the moat. Back to the good old brand.
And then the second thing is like operational excellence. It's such a buzzword and like a corporate speak thing to say. But those e-com business that do really well, the ones that go from like 0 to 1 billion USD in a couple of years, doesn't cool US cases, they're just good operators. Like
the boring stuff.
Boring stuff, processes, hiring the right people, building systems. It's that's number 2.
What's the most controversial go-to-market decision that OMHU has made in your time here?
Controversial go-to-market decision. I think our US launch was pretty insane. We decided we wanted to go live in the US, and then I think like 2 or 3 months we got a factory up and running, and we started. I think the first sofa came out of the assembly line the day we launched. It was pretty insane. Like we just got ready right on the last minute.
And it's made to order, right?
Yeah. So that was an insane thing, and it went really well. Like we had an amazing launch, but usually you can spend like a year preparing for US launch. We did it in like 2 months in October, I think, right before Black Week.
And the made to order, I'm guessing. I'm not guessing. I know that it's obviously a conscious choice to make the made to order instead of just having some inventory to ship faster. But obviously it affects your shipping time. How do you look at this? Because I'm guessing it's because of cash flow that you're doing it made to order, or what?
I mean, there are many reasons why most sofa companies and furniture companies are made to order, and that is because it's very, very expensive to keep stock because the square meters are so high. Cubic meters, like it's a lot of space you need to take up, and consumers are willing to wait for a good product. And there's also something beautiful and nice and sustainable about you order something and then it's made for you.
And it also it's more believable when you see the copy that can be shipped within 3 days compared to the OMHU made to order. So I 100% agree.
Yeah, I think there's many sides to it, but of course it doesn't help. Of course it does help that it's good for liquidity as well.
Yeah. What should more you've entered the CMO role? What should more CMOs spend time on that they currently ignore?
I think the one thing I'm most proud of here that I would recommend most others to do is like spend a lot of time on hiring the right people, especially in a fast-growing organization. I've hired many wrong people or people that were wrong for the seat in my career, and I learned that before I started here. But you can't hit every time. Like sometimes you miss, and that's fair enough. You always get better with time, but like really focus on hiring fast, firing fast, and making sure that you really help your people develop their skills and make sure that they have fun. So that's my like personal philosophy is like development and fun. Like if you have those two things, people will stay and they'll be happy and they'll perform. I think as any, not just for CMO, but for any leadership position, it's the most important thing. Because your company is just the people that work here. So they need to be the right people and they need to be motivated and have fun.
And what is the next step for OMHU?
Yeah, I think we have 1,000 next steps, but the next big step for us, I think, would be becoming more than the Teddy sofa and becoming more global. I think there's something really cool about having a showroom in Tokyo and one in LA, like really becoming a global brand. I think that's super motivating for me. Coming out of like a small country like Denmark. That's an achievement that like I would be proud of.
But I would almost also say that you started global. Like went global fast at least.
Well, we did only start in Denmark. So yes, we went global fast, but in the end, the first sofas were sold here in this whole country. So But I think that's also good advice. Like if you had the option to go global fast, if you can do like global shipping and you're doing an influencer strategy, it's really worth it to think global and like don't worry about the market you're in. Denmark's not like for us long term. Even now, it's such a small country, and it's Denmark is like a state in the United States of America, right?
Yeah.
Like a small state. So think globally and think look beyond the horizon. Like not just who are your peers close to you, but also who's doing it great in China or US or other places in Europe, Africa. Like go everywhere, see where can we learn from someone that's not close to us.
Yeah. On to the rapid fire questions. This is 1-2 answer.
Let's go
to the questions.
Yeah.
Most underrated marketing channel?
Underrated, I would still say influencer marketing.
Overrated?
Affiliate marketing.
Best creative format right now?
I would say good old unboxing.
Yeah. One KPI you check every week?
MER.
Best brands in the world right now that is not OMHU?
Brand-wise or business-wise?
Mixture.
I think Skims are doing some cool shit. I'll give you some niche answers. I think Scoffers are doing pretty good, and 2Gs. I think they're like two European streetwear lifestyle brands that are doing quite well.
You have Scoffers. 2G is on right now. Yeah. But I think also a lot of the Spanish brands, like they're so talented with the brand content.
Yeah. Look at Spain.
Yeah.
Look at what they're doing.
And we've worked with some of them, and they are very unstructured, but they're extremely talented at the brand stuff. Now, back to it. Content volume or content quality?
It's neither. You can't have one without the other.
Lean team or higher head?
Higher head.
Tools you use the most?
Almost
Best attribution software?
none. Post-purchase survey.
Post-purchase survey. Or attribution softwares that filters those in.
Yeah.
One hero product or multiple products?
Always multiple products.
Most underrated touch points in the customer journey?
Customer care.
One piece of advice to CMO at a fast-growing D2C brand?
No discounts.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you so much
for having you as the first guest.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Yeah.